Hello and welcome back to another episode of Property-Pxrn Stars, the premium property podcast, brought to you by your hosts David Lindley.
And I'm Matt Giggs.
And our guest, our star today, is none other than Freya Melling, who brings a multi-talented approach to this industry and this podcast as well. And we've got lots to talk to you about today. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
So Freya, the list, we were just talking off camera, oh, what do you do? And the list is pretty well endless. But I think that for the purpose of this, you are Central London estate agent, the face or one of the faces of Omaze.
Indeed.
A property video presenter, business owner as well. And the list goes on. What else is there while we're at it?
The list goes on. I mean, I trained as a dancer, so I still dance teach. And what else do I do? I do some shifts sometimes at the gym, and I like to keep my mind quite active and inspired, and by doing these other things alongside of the real estate and the presenting, I feel like that mostly brings my brain so much more focused than if I was just doing those two things.
One thing that I've known about you is that you never stop. I'm convinced you're a vampire and you don't sleep. But for the purpose of this, then, let's focus in on what's relevant to the premium property market. And I think that mainly focuses, I suppose, around property presentation and videography. And that's how we started talking, because you did some presenter-led videos for By Design and some of the houses that we took on the market. And that was really interesting. So let's dive into that first, because so much of the premium market now seems to revolve around videography, presenter-led videos and so on. So how did you get into that? And tell us about your experience in presenting property videos and, dare I say it, what estate agents do well and what they do badly in that, and what they can learn from someone who does this professionally.
All right. So I started off by doing these property videos with my best friend. She used to come with me into London, and we used to spend the whole day on these awful days shooting, the freezing cold. Bless her soul, big shout out to her. But yeah, we used to have fun doing it, and it was just on our phones with a microphone. I used to get the same mic that I'm wearing today, actually, the Rode mic. I got one of them, got myself a gimbal, and yeah, we used to go on a little escapade out into Central, and that was really how I first started my property videos, and learn so much along that process. And then I did more for Fine & Country. I used to reach out to other Fine & Country agents when I was at the beginnings of my Fine & Country journey and career. And I used to do loads of property videos for them, all for free, all for experience and exposure. And then I started to build my brand, that key person of influence. I mean, Simon Hawksley was mentoring me as well, who is a legend in the industry, as we all know. And he taught me so much about that, and about effort and what you can bring to the table that is so different to somebody else. And I think having that grounding of knowing that it's something different that you need to incorporate, finding your USP, I think I've then started to grow and be more confident in everything that I do. But I mean, so many people say, oh, I hate being on camera. I can't stand looking at myself on camera. I felt exactly the same thing. Like, even with the training that I had and everything. And my past, I know it wasn't probably the most conventional university, kind of like your school university journey. But I still sometimes hate watching myself back. It's just a human thing. It's
yeah, it is a human thing, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's reassuring to hear that you hate that, because
Yes.
everyone else is in the same category. So for someone who's professionally to feel the same way is somewhat reassuring.
So what got you over that?
By just, I kept pushing them out. I kept, regurgitating material and watching myself back and learning from my mistakes, I suppose.
So it's an interesting point, that, because I was talking to someone and they say it was Chris Watkin, because we had Chris Watkin on this podcast, then we did the Watkin sofa, and he was saying he never watches himself back, and he's done 2,000 plus videos. So you go through yours and kind of post-match analysis, what was good, what was bad, and then you...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I think that's probably a lot what I've learned from doing other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before the property.
Before the property, I think it was very much very self analytical and.
Was that good? Is that a good way, or is that just good for you? Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, it seems to have worked, I think,
yeah, it has,
for me
obviously.
so far.
Yeah.
But it's, I suppose it's not the most healthy way of looking at it if you're focusing on other things as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very good way to get better at something.
Yeah.
What do you mean by healthy? That's an interesting word to use.
I think if you're too self-critical and you are constantly thinking, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? It can be quite damaging to when you're on camera because you're
conscious.
You're conscious of that, yeah. And of course, you're going to be nervous when you're in front of a camera. You want to get it right, and you want to get it. There's so much to think about as well. David, I've had so many conversations with you about like what there is to incorporate into a property video or when you're presenting something. There's so many. I mean, the list goes on about what you're thinking about in your brain.
It's a lot to process, isn't it?
Yeah. Even before you open your mouth and start talking about the property.
So, because you're very natural at it, people assume that you're just good at doing it. And I've had a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're very good at doing that. You're very good on video. You can just pull it off one take." And it's actually, you go back and watch 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I started on the camera, and it's really difficult actually to watch. It's still difficult to watch actually. I still find myself not wanting to watch stuff because I know that I can't change it. And I'm normally fairly self-aware of these things when you're doing it at the time. You think, I should have said this or I should have said that. But I think the most important thing is to just move on to the next one because you only get better by doing, right?
100%.
And I think that's the same on video. Yeah, I think it's no different to having a conversation when you first start in a estate agency. The first fear is picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Yet loads of estate agents have got great at doing that because they've just had to do it. There was no choice. The phone's ringing. One guy, I remember teaching him, he's with me now still in the business, 10 years in the business. He hated the phone, so I sat with him all day, and he just got used to answering it. And it was actually his focus on how he used the phone that got over it. And now he actually prefers using the phone and going out there and seeing people face to face. I don't think it's any different than video, but I think people have got a way out because it's not a necessity in their mind that they have to go and do property videos, if that makes sense.
Really, it is. If you want to be that key person of influence, you have to be the face of your own brand and your own videos.
I can't see a personal brand being built without it.
Yeah, 100%. There are ways around it, like bringing a presenter on and getting a professional to then lead your videos for them, and then it creates a good brand image if you do that, if you feel so deadly uncomfortable in front of camera. There are
so that's it's an interesting topic, quite a prickly topic maybe, but so I think we'd all agree that the preference would be is that you could build your own personal brand by being on camera and being in front of the property and so on. But there are going to be some instances where that might not be the case, where there's such a deep fear of being on camera, or it's just not natural, or it doesn't come across the right way. So there are instances where you'd say actually you'd be better off to not be the face of it?
Yeah, I do believe that you should 100% try. And when I say try, I don't just mean turning up to the property with a cameraman and thinking, right, let's do it. Let's whatever, count our blessings. Let's just do the video. I mean, think about like what it is that you're gonna bring to that day. If you've got a script, if you can write some notes for the editing process that you have in mind that you've seen,
let's go into that then. So for a perfect property video then, what goes into that? What would you do before, during, after a perfect property video tour?
100% get a script. I started my property touring journey always with a script and with a shot list and a note of exactly how I wanted it to all go. Well, I'd get there and probably half the things would change, or I wouldn't remember my script and it would slightly, alter. But I had that list, so our day was structured.
Right.
I then, when I got a little bit more comfortable with it, I could ad-lib a little bit more. But I do find now I always do my videos with scripts again. There was that period of time that I thought, well, no, I know enough about the property industry now. I know my terminology, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't have that idea of how exactly the finished product in your head, coming even down to the outfit or the way you're going to express certain things, then it's never going to come out exactly how you want.
Just to go a level deeper, when you say script, are you key points you're going to talk about, or actually word for word written out a script of what you're going to say about the property?
No, I mean word for word.
Yeah,
Absolutely everything, because you then look back after the editing process happened and the final product is with you, and it is a big investment to create this property tour, especially if you're going to do it well. But then you've missed out that incredible piece of furniture or those incredible windows that were in the property. You forgot to talk about them, and they were so significant, or like the underfloor heating, or things that your audience will really want to know. And also triggers in the video. If you don't have these things,
about triggers.
What I mean is, if you talk about certain things and certain designers within your videos, then it's going to be picked up more by your audience. And these keywords, you can then reference to it in the comments and tag the companies that you talk about, and then it just gets seen by more and more and more people.
Okay, so you do your homework, you've got your script, that's before the shoot.
The preparation's essential.
Anything else for the preparation?
Yes. Oh, outfit key. Yeah, you got to be looking smart. Definitely prepare what you're going to wear.
Have you kind of kept to a similar style with your own personal presentation on there, or do you tend to? Because I know a lot of people kind of go to a place where they become more familiar with what they wear, so they keep that consistency and brand there. Or do you kind of go, well,
No, well, I completely change it up, and I think I always have, because I like to test out different things. Sometimes I'll wear a parasuit, sometimes I'll wear a dress, sometimes I'll go a bit more estate agency, and other times I will be chilled out. Jeans and I wore the other day a jeans and a waistcoat, and it had that kind of suit edge at the top, but chilled out vibe on the bottom. And I felt that really worked quite well, because when you're in a home, yes, you want to be professional, but you also want the audience to feel like they're at home with you. And if you're there in a full suit and shiny shoes, and I think that can take that part away. But it depends, like you said, it completely depends on the vibe you want. If I knew exactly who I was when I started this, I would 100% stick to that. And I would have, made that my thing. But
that's interesting.
So then when you're on the appointment, then what happens then? What's the order of play? Because I've seen you choreograph lots of different moving parts on a property shoot. How do you make sure that's effective and it doesn't get lost in the order of it? How do you manage that day?
So the production list, the shot list is essential. That's within my script. Everyone has a copy. And you just have to make sure you are really going step by step and step by step. It's great to try and do things all in one, but then it gets all messy and horrible. Whereas if you stick to that rota, then it all kind of goes smoothly. So we obviously go by the script. I say where I envision myself starting, and then you're directing yourself, and you've produced your own video. So you're the director, the producer, the estate agent, and the presenter of that shoot. It's a lot to think about, and my gosh, my brain is fried by the end of it. But yeah, you've created this this whole marketing world for that particular property. You've got absolutely everything you could ever need. Socials, things for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, different forms, different styles, because as you know, the different platforms require different styles. YouTube, you're better off creating a super 8-minute long property-led tour, which is a bit more natural, but then something for Instagram, you want it a little bit short and snappy and in that portrait setting. There's so many different things to think about.
So when you're on there, when you're at the shoot on the day, you've got your order of play, you've got your rooms, where you're going to go and how you're going to do it.
Yes.
Anything else to think about on the day?
it's always good to make a good impression to your client. You know, that's another thing. If they're in the house, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So it's probably best to say before, we're going to maybe need the house for the majority of the day, or plan.
Yeah.
I mean, what I wouldn't do is go in and say, oh, I'll be 2 hours, because personally, never, ever, ever takes 2 hours.
No.
Will always take at least 5.
So you take the whole day and you get all of that content.
Yes.
And do you tend to do one long video, or do you do it, as you've just said, like, so the structure's the key parts, you break it all into parts where you go, well, we're going to do the Instagram reels here, we're going to do the long form content on YouTube. Is that how you do it, or do you break up the videos itself?
So I usually do the one property tour.
Yeah.
That could last 8 minutes if you added in the B-roll and everything like that. Then I will, in post, that will be the videographer who edits all of that. They'll send it to me, and then I will chop it down in all of these different forms. You can create so many videos from that one property tour. There is so much content. So and you've again, going back to like the monetary value and everything, you have paid for this production. So why wouldn't you make the most out of all of these assets? For TikTok and Instagram, for the speedy walkthrough reels, as you know, we all know and love them.
Yeah.
They definitely come in a separate bracket to all of that. On a 0.5, if we're going into specifics on that one.
Come on, this is your expertise, right?
Okay. You want the presenter in the middle of the screen. In the middle, their feet need to be kind of towards the bottom of the screen, but always keep the presenter in the middle, unless you're swiping off to see something that realistically they wouldn't need to go into. Yeah, a nice picture frame. Everything needs to be quite square on. And I'm talking just right now, obviously these things change.
Yeah.
The algorithms pick up different things at different times.
Yeah.
So what the audience wants will keep changing.
Yeah.
But for now, that's the way to do it. That's the way it gets.
And so that kind of takes us into the post shoot as well. So how do you create, because some of the social assets you create look awesome. How do you go about creating them then? Is it all taking that long form content, or you have the different shoots that you do after that to create the social assets as well? And then how do you actually go about creating them, and what apps do you use? Give us some technical insight here.
Okay, yeah, so I actually did forget to mention that I do go around the house as well and snap everything on either a 0.5 or a zoomed in kind of lens. Again, that can change.
Why does that make a difference?
Because it feels more real, and the social platforms love it when it's a little bit more,
it's not perfect,
vulnerable and not perfect. Yeah, they prefer that rawity. So as much as you've got this beautiful video, you have to kind of have that other side as well, as if they are seeing it with their own eyes. That's why iPhone videos are so brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point, isn't it? So you do the full thing with a professional videographer, but then when it comes to socials, you mainly do that on your phone.
Yes, yeah. And then post, for me, would be either CapCut is great at the moment, or Video Leap. I use quite a lot. I find when you want to speed up the videos, sometimes the social platforms or CapCut they're a little bit sticky, whereas Video Leap, I mean, I paid like £70 for the year or something like that, but the only reason why I did that is because it speeds things up so well and so clean. Also, have to mention, when you are taking your video of your tours, it's really great to have can't remember the exact settings, but it's on 4K on your iPhone.
Yeah.
On iPhone. And is it like 60
frames a second?
60 frames per second. If you've got that on your phone, that's like so brilliant. Yeah. For
the speedy walkthrough.
Speedy walkthrough, because when you speed it up, it's so smooth. Yeah.
That's how you do that, is it?
Yeah, and it just looks a lot cleaner, a lot better quality.
Why has that caught on so much, that speedy walkthrough thing? Like, it just seems the last few years, like someone walking around at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it just seems to have caught on.
Yeah. I think it's because it probably takes out, no disrespect to anybody doing that part of it, that could be seen as a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah.
But actually, when you speed it through, it kind of blends it all together quite nicely, I suppose.
Yeah. It is the best way to see a property in 50 seconds.
Yeah. Not minutes.
Yeah.
Which is again, an important part of posting these short form contents
Yeah,
is the amount of time you've got to make an impression.
100%.
Speaking of posting the short form content, where would you recommend agents do post that? Because we've been talking today with some other guests on the show about videography and where it goes, and there seems to be I'm gonna get all the words of this wrong, but Facebook Shorts, Reels.
Yeah.
Which
Facebook
one was
Reels.
it?
I think it's YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels. Yeah.
Instagram Stories,
You're
TikTok.
doing so well.
I know, I'll fudge my way through it. I'll edit all that back together and sound like I know what I'm talking about. TikTok, of course, and then whatever we choose to post on LinkedIn. But where would you recommend, where should agents be posting this? Or is it just a carpet bomb approach to everything? But how would you balance off the trade-off between the amount of time it takes to repurpose that content for all those different formats versus where's effective?
Yeah, I 100% know it's so time consuming. Like it really does take it out of you. But such a simple task, just to post on the YouTube, but there are so much, it's sometimes a little bit overwhelming. So I find a lot of my clients have come from Instagram. So I think
You sort of go towards one
I go
place.
ham on Instagram.
Yeah.
TikTok's really great just to build your profile, because a video there can
Good
just
viewership.
get thousands and thousands, and it could just be the shortest, most pointless video, but it can get you so much traction, and then they know your face. But personally, Instagram's where I like to use mostly. Yeah, I think it works mostly for what I do. Facebook, I think, is great for some agents because they've got all of their clients on Facebook.
Yeah.
I personally don't. Instagram's where most of my clients are.
Yeah.
Facebook.
So it's knowing where you want to be seen.
Yes. YouTube's amazing, but hard to build up. I think
It's a long game.
I
right?
would say it's the longest game.
My marketing strategist, she's like, just be prepared for a couple of years.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Settle
I'm
down.
cool with that. She goes, but in the end,
Oh,
it'll
gosh,
be the
yeah.
best one.
Yeah.
For me, just so you know, there's a training.
No,
And
I do
also
that.
on that, don't you have to post natively in all the apps as well? You can't take one piece of content and link to it from somewhere else, or post in multiple platforms at once. You have to go in and do it individually each time.
Yeah, 100%. You'll get the best algorithms by doing that.
And scheduling it is more for convenience of your time, but it doesn't necessarily get you the best reach.
Yeah, I've heard different things with scheduling. I've heard it makes no difference.
Okay, really.
But then I've also heard that
The
you're
opposite.
much better doing it
Yeah.
at the time on your own. So, what can you do?
Some things the algorithm just catches and you have
Yes.
a tailwind with it forever, don't you? And some things you might think are the best bit of content, it goes nowhere.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You've got some really great estate agents who have got lots of experience, and actually they've got a lot to show and offer on camera. What's the one bit of advice, apart from just do it, what's the one bit of advice to make this really solidify in their minds that it's something that they really need to get going with as soon as possible? Why should they?
I think for their clients to see them present the home that they are selling or they want to buy, I really think if you're actually going to get the specific agent to do it, I think it is the best way to build that relationship and those touch points before they've even met you. To know that they are the ones who are going to be selling your home in your video. They're going to be the ones talking and negotiating with buyers. It makes it so much more personal, and it makes it.
It's almost like
it
an
has more
interview of the
energy.
person, isn't it? To get to know them.
I think where they might be fixed a little bit is that they think it's for me doing a property. I've got to go and do a property video. I've got to then post it. I think they lose the perspective or the point that what you're doing is you're presenting yourself out there to the market.
Yeah.
So, if you go on a valuation, if I said you're not allowed to go on a valuation, you're not allowed to be seen on the valuation, right? You're just going to send an email. That's how you're going to value that house. That'll be uproar. Because it's this one-to-one. It's getting that one-to-many mindset. It's actually, you can get so much more across in video that you can't get across by just spending your time constantly in one-to-one appointments. And it's lifting their skills, experience, their expertise, their education into a video format, and actually how much traction they'll get. Because I think a lot of agents, probably a bit like me when I first started, is you tend to look at things like likes, comments, and stuff like that, and actually isn't realistically the way to measure its success.
Yeah. The amount of people that say, "Oh, I saw your video the other day," and you haven't even seen them like your
Yeah, that's it. This is the thing. This is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I get loads of feedback. They go, "Oh, watch that podcast. It's brilliant." Like, yeah, you didn't say anything, but it's so true, right? It's
you don't know who's watching.
Absolutely.
And I find it's almost like a bit of a shortcut that I don't think that the human brain's quite caught up with this enough, that we can't distinguish video from reality. So I was talking to Simon Gates the other day. So Simon Gates, he did a workshop for us in Fire Design. It was absolutely fantastic. And we'd never met before. We just sent a few messages and then we organised a Zoom. And I've seen so much of him on video and he's seen so much of me on video. We felt like it's this weird thing where we felt like we knew each other, but we didn't. And it's kind of it fast-tracked the relationship I had with him. It's like,
100%.
we understand each other more so than if we just met out of the blue or at an industry event and had to get to know each other. We just fast-tracked all of that, and now we're doing loads of stuff together, and it's really interesting. But you wouldn't have had that.
Trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's back to know, like, trust. What's interesting, Carolina, who's behind the camera today, was just saying most of what she watches is on YouTube. And that's the platform that the future buyers and sellers are on, right? So if you're not on it and you're not appearing on those platforms and those channels, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, and those places, you really are losing an advantage of getting your personality across.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think they've got to take it from, it's not about you selling a house on a video. It's about, who are you? Why should I come to you next? Oh, I really like what you do and I'm buying into how you go and lift and market properties. So, yeah.
So I think we've caught you today at quite an interesting point in your career, I suppose.
Yes.
Because, how to position that? So you are, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but in short, you're moving more or less out of estate agency gradually, more into video production. And at the same time, you're doing more work with Omaze. So should we talk about that for a second? Because that's quite an interesting tangential business to estate agency. But I think some of the things that they're doing are very interesting from a property presentation, marketing and exposure point of view.
Yeah.
So just for anyone who doesn't know what Omaze is, tell us what Omaze is and tell us what you do there.
So Omaze is I suppose a raffle, but it's also an entertainment company, and that's why they produce so much incredible content. And they raffle off these 2 to 4, I think the last one we did was £4.5 million houses with a couple of other cash prizes and all of that. But all the profit goes to charity. And so it is such a brilliant cause. I mean, their concept is just like wildly amazing. Like, this is why they've done so well. So that's what probably Omaze is. And I think their secret behind their business is
Freya.
Is me.
That's what they've told us.
Yeah. No, I think they have such a great way of working with each other.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Every person that I've met within the company seems happy, like genuinely very happy. And
it shouldn't be weird that's weird, is it?
No.
That's pretty weird these days. If you're happy these days, you're strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, that's interesting.
Honestly, but everyone really likes each other and gets on so well. And we go on these shoots, and I mean, there's so much. But I'm not saying they don't get stressed out and they don't work hard, because they absolutely do. And I do see what goes on behind all of this before I turn up for the shoot and go, hi. There's a lot in it. They work a lot on paid ads, as you probably know. You've probably seen all of us pop up at.
I see a lot of you now on social media. It's like the constant adverts that you get.
You can't get rid of me.
That's it now.
But that's it. And it is, I'm really impressed with Omaze for a number of different reasons. But it is amazing how much they are out there. And I've been out with you when we've had agents, I won't name names, but have asked for selfies with you as well. And they're like, oh yeah, it's for my dad. I'm like, yeah, all right,
of
course it's for your dad. But the amount, so from a presentation, I wish I was making that up, but I genuinely wasn't.
So when I get a photo later, I can't really say it's my dad because he's not on social media.
I'll tell people you're my dad.
Yeah, I know. That's probably quite believable as well.
So from a property presentation perspective and from a just exposure perspective, I find what they do really interesting. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's tangential to the estate agency industry because they're raffling houses and it's one house and everything goes into that and their business model is totally different. So I get that. But you can't take away from their property presentation, which is just, it's got to be second to none. Don't they renovate houses and everything that they're taking on and selling?
They stage houses so well, and then everything that has been staged comes with the property. So they have everything worked out, like all the T's dots, all the I's dots before they launch something. And as you said, it is the best property marketing like you ever will see.
Yeah.
And that's why it has so much reach and so many people watch it and invest in it.
And then, so the presentation is amazing. And I would say for anyone listening to this, even if you don't want to get involved or buy a raffle ticket, it'd be worth following Omaze because you start to see some of the behind the scenes stuff as well, which is really interesting, and follow you as well and you see that.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
from an exposure point of view, the amount of investment that goes on in it seems to be, well, like you said, primarily social ads.
Yeah.
Is that their main, as far as you can tell, no, they do TV ads as well, you said?
Yes, they do. They have like prime time slots on like ITV and stuff,
Yeah.
which is just great. And so many of the older audience knows Omaze because of that. I'd never heard of Omaze when they first contacted me. I just like went to the show. I was like, no, like haven't heard of it. Like, and then like a couple of days later, I saw it on like on BITV.
Yeah.
But we don't watch TV. I mean, I don't watch. As far as I'll go will be like this morning or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's rare. That's very rare that I'll watch that. It's all streaming services or your phone, and this is your TV. So
It's a constant TV, isn't it?
yeah. So especially for the audience that's like 35 and under, that's the socials ads is what is absolutely where it's at. But they only put the content out for paid if it does really well on a natural journey with an organic post.
So they see what works and then they take that.
Which is more of a reason for estate agents to follow the company because
they see the track.
we're doing the latest trends all the time.
Yeah. So what are there any takeaways that you've learned from working with Omaze that you think I think that's really relevant for estate agents to know about or learn about, or that they've done we think that's really clever? Anything you've taken away from that?
If you're not going to stage a property, it's definitely not going to have the same impact. That's my one, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to really put everything into the production. As
What do you mean by that?
Prepare.
Okay, your preparation. Yeah.
Prepare your scripts. Know what's on trend before you get to the shoot, so you're not just scrambling for content afterwards. And I would just say when you're producing this content, like if you're not having fun with it and experimenting, then you're never going to find like that new thing. And like you never know, you could be the one that will send the next trend. Will set the next trend.
Get it? Yeah. Because you've experimented, you've pushed the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm guilty of not doing that as much as I should do, because you feel like you've got so much to do, but I've got to do that and that and that and that. But be creative with it. It's marketing. Like marketing has so much power within our lives. At every single day, the moment we walk out the door, we're being targeted. So use that to your advantage.
And within Omaze, coming back to what we were talking earlier about estate agents presenting videos, do they, because you're one of a few presenters, is that right?
Yes.
There? So they've got different, do they target different videos to different people with different presenters? Like, do they find they have a better cut through if you're on a video targeting a certain person versus someone else in a different demographic? Like, are you on the TV ads, for example? I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, maybe there's no difference. Or are you on the social ads they do? Or do they ever cut it up that way or not?
Yes, that is completely how it's divided. There's a lady called Jo who's amazing. She does all the TV ads with one of the male presenters. And so they do that, and then we've got another social presenter. And so the men target more the audience that loves cars. I don't know whether you know, but they raffle cars as well. So it's because these guys know everything there is to know about cars and already have done a lot in that world. they then have been brought in and people know and love them as the car guys. So they're so interested straight away. So that's the men, and as I said, Joe does the TV stuff, and I target more of the younger generation with socials.
And I guess it kind of answers the question, doesn't it, that why is presenter-led videography so important? Is that Omaze, who clearly know their onions as far as marketing goes, they wouldn't
100%.
have such a detailed plan for presenter-led videos if it wasn't going to increase the cut through and the reach that they get from their ads, their marketing, I suppose, right?
They're looking at their audience, aren't they? And they're winding their way back. It's all complete reverse engineering that, and they're looking at who's going to appeal in each sector. So yeah, I think there's a lot you can learn from Omaze for agents that are listening and watching.
Definitely, they've got it down to a T, haven't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so I was saying, so you're at an interesting point in your career now where you are beginning to step away from kind of, well, is that fair to say, frontline estate agency and more into video production and things like that? So talk to us about where you're going now and why.
Yeah, so I'm an agent for Fine and Country. So I'm the director of Fine and Country Pall Mall, which is our central London patch. And but I only work with a very small number of clients. It's very bespoke and cradle to grave kind of service. And then the rest of my time is divvied out, to presenting, specifically now with Omaze. And I'm working on creating the opportunity for estate agents to come to me and for me to put the whole production together. Like, I've got so much knowledge of behind the scenes stuff, because for 3 years I did all my sorry,
Don't worry, it won't make a difference.
No. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, okay. Come on.
I did think
Let's
they look
be
quite
real.
cool.
They're very cool.
Yes. Yes, where was I? So I've got a lot of experience behind the camera
Sharing
as well.
that.
So to share my knowledge, to coordinate a production for them. Yeah, so not as like you said, like not just a property video. You have to start thinking like that to get in good engagement and a good finished product. So coordinating this production with director and director notes, a script, so a social asset list, videographer, a presenter, unless they are willing to do it on their own, and that can still be a service with them to coordinate this production and help them make the video they are proud of and they want to release, to the world. There's definitely been times I've had a video back and I thought, I ain't putting that out. That's just
The other day I was a bit like, and you have to, anyway, go on. But it's an interesting one. So you're thinking like, I've done all of this, I've been in that place where I've shared. So the next step for you is to help, obviously, in addition to the other things that you're doing, agents to really take this seriously.
Well, yeah.
Because it's a time investment, it's a financial investment.
Yeah.
And if it's done really well with the right targeting and the right kind of strategy and tactics, it's a valuable proposition.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to make sure you've really put that effort into the finished product.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to like it.
Is it fair to say as well, I feel like there are levels of videography that happen in the industry as well. And you only know about the next level when someone comes along and does it. So earlier today we were talking to James Scudder, who's out in Pembrokeshire, and he's there on his jet skis and all sorts out there pushing the envelope in that sense. But I think you get agents that do it themselves, just one thing, and then you get a layer above that where they might get their photographer to do some videography, and then they get a videographer to do it, and then they might get a dedicated videography team. So we've worked with some of them before as well, who are going out and doing it, and then ones that are almost director-led. Is that fair to say as well, that are coordinating the whole shooting match and the social assets afterwards? And I guess that's representative of the property you're dealing with, the fee and vendors' expectations, and how you want to be presented yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've either got to get a good marketing contribution or put your hand deep into your pocket to produce the level of marketing that an agent should be producing. Like, this is why these American agents can charge so much, because they really put everything into it.
Yeah, they do.
And
I think what people forget is they're producing months of content.
Yes.
Not just
absolutely.
one video to share once and maybe give it a little boost. This is like a month, 2 months of solid content cut up into different formats for different platforms.
And if you think of it like that, then
It becomes
that
very good value for money.
Very good value.
There you go.
Yeah,
See?
we know.
I'm helping here.
Yes.
I'm also a coach. No, I'm only joking. But seriously, I think unless agents really accelerate their mindset in thinking about what does the client need to achieve, first of all, to achieve the best price, you've got to, I'm going down a state agency route here, you've got to have the best buyer. You've got to find the best buyer, because it's very difficult to find the best price if you haven't got the right buyer. Where's the right buyer? Well, these days it can be anywhere. And it's knowing that profile and then fitting the videography, the way it's being produced, cut, filmed, the words, all of those things going into the mix should appeal and become very visual and obvious to the right buying market. And done really well and with skill that we're talking about and expertise, that can make a massive difference to the end value of property. And just looking at what the previous guest, John Paul, was talking about when he listed a property which had a flight path over the top of it, and it'd been on for a long time, and he managed to get up in the air because they couldn't fly drones over it. He managed to get the local airfield to take him up to do the videography. And it was just that absolutely, that creativeness is the next thing that agents can do. But actually there's a thing that's working. It's tried and tested. A big company like Omaze are doing it. And you've got people like yourself who have been out there in the field, perfecting the process, who are able to give some advice in that area. It just seems like an obvious investment.
So it feels like people talk about personal brands, and it feels like you've had your personal brand kind of put on steroids because you've had so much marketing strength put behind you by Omaze. How is that? And it's interesting because a lot of the industries on this personal brand journey, aren't they? But what's that like being on the receiving end of so much publicity? Like, and I mean that in two senses. From a professional sense, are you getting people that are coming to you because they know, like, trust, recognize you from that world? And also people are recognizing you in the street. They're like, oh, it's you. I know who you are. Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely a bit of a change. Like, my life has changed a little bit since I started with them. And you're right, by getting my face out there, people do know me a bit more and have that instant trust when they first ring me about wanting to sell their home or about finding the next property, because they associate me with properties, and then if you've got the backing and the credibility, then obviously you can help these people. So yes, absolutely, I do think it's helped, but I think there are many other ways that you can get to that point. Yeah. But yeah, I've been so fortunate to have this opportunity that has accelerated my profile, and there's a lot more to do. I haven't got to where I want to be there, yet, and I bet that's just a constant working process. And you've just got to believe in that process and keep going. It's a bit draining sometimes, but like you got to keep going until you get to where you want to be.
Even the results aren't visible. Two final questions for you. One is, what are like easy pitfalls, mistakes that agents fall into when they're doing videography? What are the kind of things you'd say, don't do that? What makes your toes curl when you see things?
I'm joking. No, I'm just saying. I had someone say the other day, they were like, oh yeah, that's all cringy and stuff like that. I'm like, I thought it was quite funny,
Cool.
Hey,
no, absolutely. I don't think I definitely want to do it on my own this time, personally. But,
no, I know.
Yes. So 100%. Do you know Ken Burns? Like the
Ken Burns effect? Is that
on iMovie, where it's a photo and it transitions to another photo and it's like this.
Oh, when they try and make a video out of stills.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
I'm really proud to say I didn't know who that was now. Yeah. Sorry, no.
He's not an estate agent. It's like a videographer, term.
Okay,
yeah. So it's
okay, so
it's like a transition effect.
So that's worse than not doing any videos doing that.
Yeah. I remember like researching a lot into it and how bad it really was for algorithms and stuff. don't do it. Don't waste your
Yeah,
time. And actually,
totally
it's a
agree.
bit brand diminishing
Yeah.
if you've got something like
Especially
that.
as a user, you think, oh, a video, and you think, oh my God, it's just a slideshow.
Yeah.
It drives you
Yeah.
mad.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
What else?
Blurry photos, like I've seen before, a professional looking photograph that is just like so blurry, and it's just because of the way you've uploaded it onto Rightmove or the way you've uploaded it onto Instagram or Facebook. You know, if you screenshot a photo and then keep screenshotting that photo, it's eventually going to just get worse and worse and worse. You know, make sure you use an original content, like original photos, your original video. You know, screen recording every now and then might be okay to slip in there, but not for your property video. You know, make sure you're really using high quality content. I think staging's a huge thing. I think if you can, always do it. But I understand, especially on like these lower budget and maybe the properties that don't even need it, the properties in the mass market that can you put on Rightmove, you get a lot of interest and it goes. Maybe you don't need to on ones like that, but you still need good photos. And I would say you definitely need a video for whatever property you market. I have done some videos on some really awful properties, but I've made also really teeny properties, but I've made the video about the area or about the building, like maybe it's a really historic building, and I found like the key selling point within those properties that
focus on those
and focused on them.
Yeah, which makes sense for the lower market. And it's funny, isn't it? Because years ago, people didn't even do professional photography at the lower end of or middle of the market. So it's interesting that home staging, I think you're quite right, especially if you're going to go invest money in videography and photography, you really want to do it when it's looking at its best and it's being staged in a way that's going to also talk to the right market and the right audience. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then you can sell it for the highest possible price.
Absolutely.
You know,
which is what we're here to do.
Otherwise, you're just vlogging it, really, aren't you? And you may as well get the vendor to put it on themselves. You know, we're here to as the marketing agent. You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's what we're here to do. And negotiate, of course.
We love that.
Can't forget that.
Awesome. So my final question is the most ridiculous question of all, which is that you're a guest today on Property Porn Stars, and everyone has their own porn star name, whether they know it or not.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Guys!
You've been asked this before. So the way that you find out your porn star name is your middle name and your first pet's name. What's that for you?
Oh, God. Well, I've got two middle names.
Pick the most ridiculous one.
This was Lily and Jordan, so I don't know, which one do you want to...
Jordan, definitely.
Jordan. Okay.
Yeah. That's not a question.
all right.
Go on.
Now where are you going with that? And then my first pet's name was Ziggy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Jordan Ziggy. That's pretty good.
Ziggy Jordan.
Ziggy
much
Jordan.
better.
Yeah.
If we can
Ziggy
switch.
Jordan, I think, do the switch. Like Kevin Tiny.
I like it.
Yeah.
So Matt's is Kevin Tiny. You know, we asked it for every single guest.
Stop.
And his was the first, obviously the first one on the first episode, and no one's beaten Kevin
trumped
Tiny.
No one's trumped it.
No,
It's
that's
Ziggy Jordan's
sweet.
pretty good.
Ziggy,
And I think
I
that's
like it.
Very
top
small.
three.
Ziggy Jordan's good. Yeah, in brackets. That's top three, I would say. Definitely.
Awesome. So on that note, thank you so much for your time, your insight, your input today. It's been really interesting. You are one of the most busy people in the industry, I think.
No, thank you so much for having me on. I've absolutely loved every second.
Lovely. Good to see you.
And I think that what you bring from a world that is connected but one step away from a state agency and who are doing things on a property presentation and exposure level size large is really interesting. And I think that is something that I think most estate agents could learn from, is to look at that and say, what is making that catch fire so much? Because it is. You speak to anyone, they've heard of Omaze, haven't they? It seems crazy.
And I think also talking at the end there about what are we here to do? We're here to achieve the best price for the owner. And what's the best thing to do? So, yeah, it's almost like a reminder that home staging or presentation and videography to the highest level with the highest amount of quality is going to deliver results for your client.
That's
Absolutely.
it. So, Freya, thank you. And thank you for listening or for watching Property Porn Stars. We really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, download, all those good things. We've got a packed agenda of guests from now through to the end of the year and beyond as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe icon so you don't miss any of the amazing insight from our fantastic guests. And we'll see you in the next one.
See you soon.